Okay, so this is your home practice over day one. So we're going to be counting sig figs. We're going to be practicing the estimated digit when we measure, and then we're going to work on calculating with sig figs using sig fig rules. Okay, so let's start with just counting them. All right, so what we need to do is figure out how many sig figs are in each one of these terms. We'll do a couple of them, maybe some of the harder ones. So here we go. So all non-zeros. So there's 2, and then because there's the decimal and this is a trailing 0, that's going to count as well. So this one is going to have 3. If we skip to this one right here, we have 1, 2, 3 non-zeros, and then again, there's that trailing 0 after the decimal. So remember, it's going to be trailing and after the decimal for that 0 to count. So that's going to count. That's going to give us 4. Okay. If we look down here at number 6, the non-zeros are 3, and then this 0, it is after the decimal, but it's not trailing, so it may not be. But then we look at our sandwich rule, and our sandwich rule says that is going to be significant now. So we're going to have 4 sig figs there. So we can get a little closer. There we go. All right. In number 8, we've kind of combined all of the rules that we just talked about. 1, 2, 3 non-zeros, trailing after the decimal, so that is going to count. And then both of these are sandwich zeros, so each one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 significant digits there. Okay, if we go up here to number 4, this was kind of the tough one because of the scientific notation. And just to start off, anytime we have scientific notation, it's going to be something raised to the power of 10. All right, or raised by a power of 10. So this happens to be 2. Well, these are just going to be place holding zeros all the time. It doesn't matter if it could be a -2. It doesn't matter. So what I'm telling you is all of your sig figs are going to come from this base number, and there happens to be 3 there. Okay. If we go to, let's say, this one here, that's just going to be 1. This one here is your sandwich rule, so that's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I hope that helps. Here at the bottom, this got a little bit difficult because of it's a way of thinking about measurement that we've never really thought of before, and so we're able to estimate 1 extra digit. That's kind of the skill here. So all of these lines are known amounts, so we're gonna write those amounts down, right? But then we're also allowed to estimate 1 extra place value. All right, so in this first one, the nearest tenth of a millimeter, well, or milliliter. Why is that? Because each one of these lines is 1 milliliter, right? So let's say that our meniscus fell between those 2 lines. So that's 5, 6, it falls between 6 and 7. So the known one is going to be 6. Well, we're going to estimate where we think that line is going to be, so maybe it's going to be 6.5. Okay, this number 19. These are all known amounts, and each of these lines right here is 1,000. Between each one of those is 1,000, which means this one has to be 1,500. Those are known amounts. Well, to get from 0 to 1,500, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each one of these lines is going to be 100 milliliters. So we know the thousands right there. Each one of these little lines is also going to be the 100th place value. What we don't know is the tens or even the ones value. So because we know these 2, we can estimate to 1 extra. That means we're going to estimate to the tens place. Okay. Over here in this last one, we know these little lines, and now that's 1. Now we've decreased it quite a bit, right? Which means each one of these lines is going to be, well, that's 0.5. Each one of these is going to be 0.1. So we know the ones place, we know the tens place, but now we can estimate to 1 extra, so that's going to be your 100th place value. Okay. On the back, this is multiplying and dividing, adding and subtracting. So if we do this first row first, this is going to be, we are only worried about the sig figs after the decimal. All right, which means if we go to number 2, when I add this up, the calculated value is 10, 12, 14, 16, 13, 10, 16. That's my calculated value. Well, if I look at each one of these terms, because I'm adding, I'm only looking at what's to the right of the decimal. So each term, that one has 2, that one has 2, that one has 2. They each have 2. I would do the least because they're all the same, so it's just 2. I already have 2 there, so the calculated value is equal to the sig fig value. If I look at, let's say, number 4, well, we're subtracting, so it's the same rule as addition, but I'm not really worried about the numbers that come to the left of the decimal. In adding and subtracting, I'm only counting what's up to the right. So this one has 1 sig fig, this one has 2. All right. So when I do the calculated value, that's what it is, but I only can report 1 sig fig to the right of the decimal, which turns us into 118 point. That 5 rounds the 3 to a 4. Okay. When I come down here to one of these, let's go with number 7. Okay. And I can just do this straight on my calculator. Well, if it will work, I'm going to use my phone. So the calculated value for number 7, 50 times 0.9 is 45. All right? Well, if I look at my sig fig counts, now I look at the entire term, not just after the decimal. So this one happens to have, well, there's 1 sig fig there. This one has 1, 2, 3 because of those trailing zeros. This one has 3. So the least amount still is that 1. Well, if I look at 45, that has 2 sig figs. So I look at my first place value, and I take that 5 and round that 4 to a 5. So now it's 50. That's my answer. Okay. If I look down at 9 and 10, this doesn't matter. You just got to do order of operations here, right? So it's still multiplying and dividing, so it still follows this rule. So if I take 51.27 times 12.502, let me try that again. 51.27 plus 12.502 divided by 62.1, I get a calculated value of 1.02692, and I can stop there because I know I don't have that many sig figs. So this one has 4, this one has 5 because that's a sandwich 0, and this one has 3. Well, the rule says the least amount total. That's why I did the total amounts. That 3 tells me I need to have 3 sig figs. So 1, 2, there's my third digit, so I got to use that 6 to round that 2, so my answer is going to be 1.03. Okay, so I hope that helps with last night's homework.